Right, so let's jump right in with this Act 1 of Macbeth. So, in order to give a full understanding, what we're going to, and to be able to cover it in a time when you're going to listen to me for the entire time, um, we're going to have a look at the core moments and we're going to have a look at the key quotes. Okay, what these will do is they'll give you a thorough understanding of the act and enough information that you'll be able to digest it and then use it within your examination. If I give you too many quotes all at once, you won't be able to remember them. Now, in scene one, the most important thing that we can see is when the witches arrive. Okay, we need to take note of how they arrive and the weather in which they arrive in. They arrive in thunder and lightning. Okay, thunder and lightning, chaos causing, and that prophetic fallacy that we see there when the witches arrive, okay, is fundamental to the way in which we perceive them. So if we go with thunder and lightning, okay, we want to be thinking with these weather directions here, stage directions, sorry, what sort of connotations do they give off? Okay, what sort of connotations do they give? Now, we know that it can be chaos. Okay, I don't know if you've ever been out in thunder and lightning, but it's chaos trying to get home. We can have chaos, we can have fear, we can have control, and we can also have power. Now, a nice little link to power and conflict is nature is powerful. Okay, so that sets the tone for these witches entering. Now, fair is foul and foul is fair. All of the witches chant this at the same time. Okay, so they chant it at the same time. Now, this in itself is scary. Okay, their manipulation of language. Manipulation of language. Because we've got to remember, a lot of this audience at the time couldn't read or write. They couldn't understand basic English. And if they've already got a preconceived fear of witches, when they come in and they're saying things like this in an oxymoronical way, we're going to start getting that influx of fear, this influx of how do they know this language? Why are they speaking like this? And their ability to command language commands authority as well. But let's think about this quote as well. This quote here, this quote is confusing. Okay? Confusing. It's an oxymoron. Okay? Right? Which again sets the tone. We don't quite know. We don't quite know. Oh, quite know what to expect. Okay? And in itself, that is terrifying. Okay, the way the witches speak, the way the witches present themselves, the way they've been put onto the stage with the thunder and lightning is a terrifying existence for the people in the audience. Okay, so to take away from this Act 1, Scene 1, we want to be looking at the moral confusion by the witches speaking. And then we want that appearance versus reality. We don't really know what to expect. And Macbeth gets wrapped in this appearance versus reality saga as we move through the play. So it's definitely something that we need to consider. Now, if you want to have a look in more detail at that, if you go into the school classroom and have a look in one of the tabs, there's a deep dive into the analysis of the witches. So you'll be able to take that out and have a look at it in more detail. Now, if we have a look now, I'll move down into scene 2. Okay. Now, this is significant and this is really paramount in regards to the way we see Macbeth. Now, for those of you who have seen the play, we know that Macbeth is an evil character. We know he becomes corrupted by ambition. However, He does not start like that. And that's what makes Macbeth's downfall so impactful. Okay. Whereas, in fact, the captains and those at the battle with him saw Macbeth as a respected and revered figure. Okay. He was a brave, noble soldier at the start. Okay. He was respected by all, including the king. And he had no reason to want to move from this spot. Now, a wounded captain describes Macbeth's bravery in battle. King Duncan rewards Macbeth. Now, note here, King Duncan rewards Macbeth. Look at that relationship. Okay. When we see the relationship between Macbeth and the king at the start, they are close to one another. They are a close knit bond to each other. They are respecting one another. The king trusts Macbeth a bit silly. he trusts Macbeth and he doesn't think any ill of him. Now, for brave Macbeth, well deserves that name. So that's reinforcing the respect, the respect that his men, his men had for him. Okay, had for him. Loads and loads of respect, disdaining fortune with his brandished steel. Okay, run. I'll get my words out. Loyal and fearless warrior. Okay. Now, the question we want to ask here is why? Why did Macbeth want to betray the king? And I think we kind of know it, which is shh. We know it. It was the witches. The witches' influence on Macbeth. Now, again, if you want to go into these quotes in more detail, what I would recommend is going into the school classroom and taking a look at what we can see on the worksheets. It'll go into detail on Macbeth's actions, the way in which Macbeth acts, his heroism at the start of the play, because it's really important to know, okay, Macbeth started right at the top of where he could be and he went down. He fell. His fall from grace was hard and it was fast. Nobody saw it coming and we couldn't stop it through the influence of the witches. Now, not all the witches. Lady Macbeth had a small part to play in it as well, or a large part, depending on how your analysis goes. So let's move on swiftly. So now the witches finally meet Macbeth. Absolutely terrifying. Now they greet him, and they greet him well. They tell him absolutely everything, okay, that he wants to hear. Now, why wouldn't you want to hear this? They're praising him, they're heralding him. Now, the problem is, okay, in this scene, when they tell Macbeth these things, okay, Macbeth wants to know more. Wants to know more. However, they are quite ambiguous. We don't really know what they mean. And this is the appearance and reality argument. Okay. Appearance versus reality. Now, I'm just going over the superficial parts of this here now, but we will be going into a deep dive into specific quotes as we move on. Now, when Banquo gets his prophecies, okay, this becomes quite shocking because they're conflicting. They're conflicting and confusing. Okay. And in Macbeth's mind, he gets very worried about Banquo. Okay. So later in the play, the witch's words stem a considerable amount of worry in Macbeth regarding Banquo. And as we can see, Macbeth doesn't want the witches to go. He knows what they're saying is not perfect, but he wants to know more. He can't resist the urge to know how great he is going to be. He just can't resist it. And he becomes immediately obsessed with the prophecies. Now, this very subtly foreshadows the lengths he's going to go to in order to make these prophecies become a reality. And it's absolutely terrifying. Now, let's keep going. I will get used to this. Now, where has it gone? Where has it gone? That's scene 7. That's scene 7. That's scene 6. I promise I have scene 4 somewhere around here. Okay. So, number 1, number 5. Ah, there it is. So, after Macbeth's got these prophecies, okay, he soon and quickly learns when he gets back from the battle and he's been fighting for the king and breaking his back for the king, he's got these prophecies. He's expecting something to happen that'll put him in line for the throne. Because remember, he's a Thane of Glamis. He got the Thane of Cawdor because of the execution of the traitor. And now he's thinking, right, okay, the king is obviously going to put me in a position where I could take over from him one day. He hasn't quite thought, right, I'm going to kill him. But he's thinking, maybe I can do this honorably. Until he gets back to the meeting with the king, and the king puts his son Malcolm to the heir to the throne. Macbeth sat there going, my God, there's only one way I can become king now. And he says this, the Prince of Cumberland, that is a step on which I must fall down or overlap. Now this, he either stays where he is, either stays put as a Thane, okay, or commits regicide. Commits regicide. Macbeth has to choose here. Now, this moment in scene 4 gives Macbeth two paths to take. Two paths. He either commits the regicide and commits himself to this, or he stays where he is and we don't have any more plays. Now, Macbeth needs a little push because Macbeth actually says that he is happy in his current position and he doesn't really want to go any further. Now, the biggest kicker for this now is his wife, Lady Macbeth. She's the reason. She's the reason why Macbeth gets pushed. Lady Macbeth's ambition pushes Macbeth a little bit further than what he originally wanted to go. Okay? And we see this through the letter. Now, her reaction, and if we bring some context into here, is not your stereotypical woman of the time. It's not your stereotypical woman of the time. Now, she's commanding. Okay? She takes charge. She wants to be the one who controls this situation. And she actually calls upon the spirits, right? Calls upon the spirits to enact her ambitions. Now, if that doesn't say red flag on what she's going to do, I don't know what does. Lady Macbeth is shown here to be ruthless and in invocation of the supernatural, to reject femininity. She wants to push away all of those traits that make her female, and she's willing to be unsexed here in order to enact this regicide on her own. She feels Macbeth does not have the ambition, but also does not have the heart to go and kill the king. So she's saying, look, witches, take me. I want to be the one who kills the king. And we see this, okay? Come, you spirits, tend on mortal thoughts, okay? These are powerful and significant quotes that you can use. Now, where's it go from here? Let's take a look. So we're on scene 5 there. We then see the innocent King Duncan arrive at the castle. Now, King Duncan's none the wiser. He loves Macbeth. He trusts him. He thinks that he is great. Okay? So we see a serious point of dramatic irony when King Duncan arrives. Okay, because he's saying, "Oh, this is really nice. This is a pleasant place, right? I'm going to just ride in here and, well, die." And that's what happens. King Duncan comes in thinking none the wiser. Macbeth still loves him. He's going to go in there and he is going to have a lovely night, lovely party with the man he trusts so much. Now, it's not going to happen. Dramatic irony shows that this is actually him praising the place that he is ultimately going to be murdered in. So, a good point for your revision while we're here is look at Duncan. Okay, look at Duncan and think about what makes him a good and bad king. Okay, what makes King Duncan a good and a bad king as you're going through? Okay, really, really think about that because his character is more important than what you would think. Now, let's go to the final final scene, sorry, scene 7, where we see Macbeth's doubt and Lady Macbeth's manipulation. Now, this is common. For the first 50% of the play, Lady Macbeth is controlling Macbeth. She has got the puppet strings over him and she is controlling everything that he does. She's pushing him, she's prompting him. Some say even more than what the witches do throughout the play. Now, Macbeth is in doubt. He said, "Oh, I don't want to kill the king. Do I want to kill the king? Do I want to? Oh, no. He's really good to me. He's been great to me." And he's hesitant about doing it. Now, Macbeth does get pushed over the edge. But before he does that, he does debate the moral and practical consequences of murder. Now, he thinks, should I do this? I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition. Now, if you imagine it like a pot, okay, Macbeth's bubbling a little bit. He's bubbling, he's thinking about it. And then he thinks, you know what? The pros outweigh the cons. Let's murder the king. Okay? Now, a really nice and interesting point of evaluation here is, did the witches actually persuade him at this point? Now, how much involvement did the witches have? How much involvement did the witches have in comparison, right? In comparison to Lady Macbeth. Right? Because there's this really interesting thought that the witches don't have much stage time. They don't have much dialogue to Macbeth. But how impactful are their words? And then how impactful are they coupled with Lady Macbeth's little bit of push, okay? Now, Macbeth acknowledges ambition as the sole motivator. That's what's known as Macbeth's hamasha, okay? And if you're not sure, hamasha is spelled like this, and it means fatal flaw, okay? It is the thing that leads to Macbeth's death. Gone. Okay, he has so much ambition, so much brewing inside of him that he will stop at nothing to pursue his goal in the end. A little bit of a push from Lady Macbeth to get going, but ultimately he went for it, and that was it. Now, Lady Macbeth does a lot of different strategies to push him over that edge, and one of the main one is the challenge to masculinity. Now remember, Macbeth's a feared warrior. He's a powerful, powerful man. And Lady Macbeth's challenging his masculinity. What does that say about Lady Macbeth and how powerful she is? But what does that say about the insecurity of Macbeth and the insecurity he might have on the throne? Consider these points in your revision. If you have any questions at all, let's deep dive in the masterclass and do some more there. Thank you. Take care.